thinking. But I didn't read that. That was that. Let me think. What has everyone and their uncle told me as I desperately seek out advice on how to give a commencement address? Tell them what they want to hear. Talk about your time at Bennington. Know that there is no wrong speech. I like that. Just keep it brief. That was my father-in-law. Be brutally honest. Tell them how hard it is after you graduate. We'll get back to that one. Just watch Meryl Streep's commencement speech at Barnard and you'll be fine. What did Beckett say? I can't go on. I'll go on. So even if I don't burn in your hearts and minds long after this speech is over, even if I don't inspire you to reach for the stars and beyond, even if I am erased from your memory after one glass of wine tonight, where am I going with this? I can't go on. I'll go on. You know, I won't speak of my time here like some old fisherman. You have already had your time here. You have your own story to tell. But I have to say, for me, it did start here, in Vermont, on a very rainy night. It was 1987, and I was a prospective student. The rain was coming down so hard, it was impossible to see that I was meeting the person who would later become my greatest friend and collaborator. A freshman who would, 17 years later, introduce me to the woman that became my wife. I'll call him Sherm, because I do. It was late at night, on the road right there near Billy's house. And despite the dark night and the heavy rain, this place was so alive. The lights pulsed from each of the dorms. Now, I was a kid from New Jersey who went to an all-boys Catholic high school. I was 4 foot something. I mumbled when I spoke. I wore a sort of woman's black velvet cape. Black tights, combat boots, and a scowl. But here at Bennington, I was home. And I have to say, it doesn't get better. Let me clarify. There are not shinier, more important people out there. Your fellow students, your friends, sitting around you are as good as it gets. 22 years after my own graduation, I have worked with my rainy night friend and fellow graduate, Sherm, on countless productions he has written, in all stages of development, from living rooms to off-Broadway. Brooks, Ian, Justin, Brett, John, Matthew, Jim, Sean, Hyla, Nikki, and the Bee are all classmates I shared my time with here and still work with, and I'm lucky to call my friends. We are very spoiled here. People always say to me, for such a small school, it seems like there are so many of you. I find that really interesting. I kind of perfect. We can't help it. We burn very brightly. Please don't ever stop. Graduates, now when I sat where you are, sitting right now, I had so many dreams of where I wanted to go, who I wanted to be, and what I wanted to do. Theater companies I wanted to start with classmates, movies I wanted to be in, directors I wanted to work with, stories I needed to tell. It might take a little time, I thought, but it would happen. When I sat there 22 years ago, what I didn't want to think about is where I would be tomorrow. What I would have to start to do tomorrow. And I graduated in 1991, a great year, a time of resurgence for independent films in this country, a time of relatively affordable rents in New York City. See, I assumed that I could make a living writing my plays, acting way off Broadway, and hopefully, one day, join the actors I loved and respected in those independent films. TV? Oh, what? No. What? Kidding me? No. Didn't even consider that. I had much more class than that. Much more self-respect than that. So hot, wasn't you? What I didn't have was cash, a bank account, a credit card, or an apartment. I just had debt. Growing larger every moment. Debt. So as you will tomorrow, I had to leave beautiful Vermont, pack the life that I knew with socks and a toothbrush into my backpack, and I slept on couch after couch after couch after couch at friends' apartments in New York until I wore out their rent-paying roommates' welcome. I didn't want a day job. I was an actor. I was a writer. I was a Bennington graduate. I had to get a day job. I dusted pianos at a piano store on Ludlow Street for 5 months. I worked on the property of a Shakespeare scholar for a year, pulling weeds and removing bees' nests. I went on unemployment once, but not for long. I couldn't handle the guilt. Eventually, I was able to pay rent for a spot on the floor of an apartment on the Lower East Side, but my roommate had a breakdown and disappeared. He later resurfaced in a religious cult. I'm making this sound romantic. It really wasn't. I helped hang paintings at galleries, paintings that inspire you to think, I could do that. And then, finally, after 2 years of job and couch surfing, I got a job in application processing as a data enterer at a place called Professional Examination Services. And I stayed for 6 years. 6 years. Longer than my time at Bennington. From the age of 23 to 29. Well, they loved me there. I was funny. I wore black, no cape, no tights. I I smoked in the loading docks with the guys from the mailroom, and we shared how hungover we all were. Everyone called each other Shorty. What's up, Shorty? How you doing, Shorty? Oh, so hungover, Shorty. I called in sick almost every Friday because I was out late the night before. I hated that job, and I clung to that job. Because of that job, I could afford my own place. So I lived in Williamsburg, Brooklyn. And in... Yeah, you say that now. Oh, my kingdom for a time machine. Yeah, that's right. I lived in an industrial loft. My rent was $400 a month. My dream of running a theater company with my friend and fellow Bennington graduate Ian Bell had died. I won't go into those details, but neither one of us had any business sense, and the theater we lived in, it had no heat or hot water. We didn't smell very good, but we had our youth. Youth gets old very quickly. You'll see. So Ian moved out to Seattle, and I moved up to the street, to my loft. And I still didn't have heat. In 1993, industrial loft meant not legal to live there. Honestly, I don't want this to sound cool, and I feel like it's too cool. Advent. But I did have hot water. Hot water in my bathroom, which a friend of mine, using said bathroom, once shouted, "It smells exactly like a summer camp in here." It was true. For some reason, in the middle of Brooklyn, there was earth in my shower. Actual earth. And then, oh look, mushrooms growing from the earth. But I was safe, though. The Ideal Fire Control Company was right across the street where they make all the chemicals that put out chemical fires. I did not fear a chemical fire. I would be okay.